Hello, 22 Tony here with another video on stacking silver. Now, I originally hadn't planned on making another video on stacking silver, but I recently watched somebody else's video on Facebook, and it was so full of bogus advice that it would end up costing a new collector a lot of money down the road. So today I'm going to focus specifically on a new collector on a budget. I'm not talking to people that have $20,000, $30,000 to invest in silver and are going to do so every month. This isn't the video for you. This is for somebody living paycheck to paycheck, doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend, but realizes they need to build wealth somehow and think that silver is a way to do it. Quite honestly, that was me 20 or 30 years ago. I never had a lot of extra money, but when I did have a little bit of extra cash, I'd go out and buy a couple of silver coins and threw them in started out a shoebox and ended up into a safe, and over the years I've built up a little bit of a collection. So that's who I'm talking to today. Somebody who wants to get started on a budget, doesn't have a lot of money to spend, but wants to build some actual wealth. There's lots of ways of doing it, and I want to make it clear, my way isn't the only way. This is my suggestion. This is how I started. This, I think, works. Don't take my word for it. Everything I tell you is designed to get you thinking, not to be an answer. So I want you to do your own research. But here's going to be a little bit of a starting point. Now, the important thing to me is, when am I going to buy? And I have people ask me this from time to time. I've been buying and selling antiques for over 50 years, and coins even longer. I started in elementary school driving the lunch ladies nuts when I'd buy a roll of pennies, pick out the wheat ones, and sell the rest of them back. So this is something that I've never been a full-time coin dealer or anything along those lines, but it's something that I have been doing for many, many years. And what I've learned over those years, if you try to time the markets, you're going to lose. Plain and simple. You are going to lose. Don't do it. If you want to actually invest in your future, the way to do it is to have yourself a pattern and stick to it. That may be every paycheck. You're going to take $20 out of every paycheck and buy silver. Once a month. Every Christmas you're going to tell everybody to buy you silver instead of presents. Whatever it is, stick to that. The reason why we're going to do that is, let's say I'm going to say the first of every month I want to buy myself a Morgan dollar, the first of every month. Well, this month silver might be a little bit high, and I'm going to pay a little bit more for that Morgan dollar than I did last month. Well, next month the price might come down a little bit, and over time I'm going to cost average those. That it doesn't really matter to me what I paid for this one, or this one, or this one. What it matters to me is that over time, the value has gone up. So then the question is, what do I buy? Do I buy what we call junk silver, or constitutional silver? That is U.S. silver coins made 1964 or earlier. That's how I got started on silver. Actually, I got started back many, many years ago. You could still find silver occasionally in pocket change. It still happens extremely rarely, but you're not going to find a lot of silver in pocket change. When I was a kid in the 60s, there was still a lot of silver in pocket change. So again, that would be my advice to the new collector, somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, $20 every 2 weeks, $50 once a month, whatever it is. Again, you go to your local coin dealer, flea markets, if you go to auctions, or to even Craigslist and Facebook, there are places where you can buy silver. The important thing is to know who you're buying from. There are fakes out there. That's another reason why I like what I call the constitutional silver. When you're buying a silver dime that's worth about $5, it's probably not worth counterfeiting. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's probably not worth counterfeiting. Morgan dollars that are worth about $50, it is worth counterfeiting, and there are counterfeit Morgan dollars out there. So again, when you're going to be spending your hard-earned money, you want to make sure you're spending it with somebody that you can trust. Now, as far as values, let's talk on that just a little bit here. As I'm recording this, the silver spot value, and what spot value is that's the price of 1 ounce of silver on the New York Exchange. It changes by the minute. But as of this moment, as I'm recording, it is $69.85 an ounce. So 1 ounce of silver is just pennies under $70. And this is 1 ounce of 0.999 fine silver. So that on the New York Exchange is just under $70. So what does that mean to, again, our constitutional silver coins here? A silver dime, I'm not sure what this is, but 1964 silver dime, anything earlier than that, has about $4.99 worth of silver in it. A quarter has about $12.49. A half dollar is about $24.97. And the silver dollars are just a couple of pennies over $54 a piece in silver, scrap value. Can you buy them at that price? Generally, no. If you can, that's ideally what you want to do, is pay the scrap price for them. And occasionally, when the dealers have inventory they want to move, they will sell them at that price. But you're usually going to pay a small percentage over. So what you want to do is get as close to that price as you can. How do we do that? Now, if you're just going to buy one silver dime, chances are, the dealer's going to put a markup on there, and you're probably going to pay $6 or $6.50 or something like that for every silver dime. But if you're able to put enough money together to buy a whole roll, a roll of 50 silver dimes at today's market value is $249.71 in scrap silver. So realistically, again, a dealer's not going to sell it to you for $250. They're probably going to sell it to $260, $270, $275, somewhere in that range. Now, if you go to sell it the next day, they're not going to pay you the $275. They're going to pay you a little bit less, maybe $225, $235, somewhere in that range. So that's something you have to know going in, that this is not an overnight turn a profit in 2 days, generally. Now, occasionally you might get lucky and find a Morgan dollar at a garage sale for $25 and turn it the next day for $50, but that's not the norm. I'm talking for people that are looking for a long-term investment. Again, I've been buying silver since the late 1960s. Over that period of time, it has increased in value considerably, and that's why it's considered a way to build wealth. So again, you want to know first who you're buying from, preferably somebody that's trustworthy. Your local coin shop is a good place to start. The online marketplaces, be extremely careful. If it's a local, somebody selling out of their garage and you're buying a few silver dimes or a couple of quarters, you're probably okay. If somebody on Craigslist is selling you 50 Morgan dollars at $25 a piece, run. It's not happening. Then, the question again is, which silver do I want to buy? I've got, maybe $50 to spend, and I want to know what to buy. Well, I can get 4 silver quarters for $50. I can get 10 silver dimes for $50. I can get a couple of half dollars for $50. At that point, it really doesn't make a huge difference. Personally, I started with the smaller denominations, the dimes, and moved to quarters and halves and dollars. Part of the reason for that is my reason for saving. I've always, for many, many years, long before it became fashionable, was always concerned about what if things go bad and the dollar's not worth any money. All of a sudden, the entire United States economy crashes and my dollars are trash. What am I going to do? Well, I live in Amish country, and many of you do, and if not, they're local farmers and ranchers. They understand silver. So if I need to get, a dozen eggs for my local Amish family, they know what a silver dime is. If I need, you know, a pound of ground beef, they know what a silver quarter is. They know what a silver half dollar is, you know, depending on what the exchange rate is at that time. But that's why I started small, because if the time comes when I have to use these quick, you know, I've got that option. Then even within those ranges, as you can see here, I've got silver dimes, I've got Roosevelt dimes, I've got Mercury dimes. I thought there might have been a Barber in there, but I don't see it. I generally try not to pay a premium for the older coins. Again, I'm not buying these as a collector. I'm not trying to build a set of every Mercury dime ever minted. This is silver to me. So if you're looking at it that way, if you're looking at it as a collector and you want to build a collection of Mercury dimes, that's different. This isn't your video. This is for somebody who's just buying silver. One of my local coin shops doesn't differentiate. A dime is a dime is a dime. They don't care if it's a Mercury or a Barber or a Roosevelt. It doesn't matter. When I'm going through his junk bin, I tend to pick out the nicer looking Mercuries. Now, if they're worn completely flat, you might want to stay away from those because a lot of the silver's gone. But, you know, a decent looking Mercury, he charges the same as a Roosevelt. Well, again, to me, when it comes time to sell these down the road, hopefully it'll be an inheritance and I'll never do it, but at some point they will be sold. The Mercuries probably will bring a little bit of a premium over the Roosevelts, so I look at it that way. And the same with the quarters. If I can get a Standing Liberty for the same type as a Washington, same price as a Washington, I'm going to take the Standing Liberty. For the half dollars, a 1964 Kennedy is 90% silver. The later ones, up until 1970, are only 40% silver. So again, if you're buying silver, you want to look at the 64s. But if I can get a Franklin half or a Walking Liberty half for the same price as a 1964 Kennedy, I'm going to buy these. Just personal preference. As far as the silver, there's probably a tiny bit more silver in the 64 Kennedys because they're not worn. Where these are definitely, you're losing some of the silvers they wear. Not, you know, these are still pretty nice shapes, so it's mostly there, but you have lost a little bit. Well, then I have people saying, well, what about silver bullion? You can buy 0.999, that means 99.9% pure silver, as little as 1 gram at a time. If you're trying to stack silver, I don't recommend this because you're going to pay a premium. You know, 1 gram of silver is a couple dollars worth of silver, and you're going to pay $5 or $6 for it. So that's not a real good idea. This came to me, and I buy lots occasionally that have lots of different stuff in them, and this was in a lot that had some other silver with it, so I just put it in a little container and set it aside. Then you got the actual the bullion coins. This is 1 troy ounce, 0.999 fine silver. I just like the design on this one. Generally, I stay away from rounds personally, and bars. I do have some. When I can get them at a good price, I buy them. But I don't like paying a big premium over spot value for them. So again, if I can buy this for $71, $72 when silver's at 70, I'll buy it. When they're trying to get $80 or $85 when silver's at 70, I pass. If you are going to buy silver rounds or bars, look for quality names. You want them sealed in their original packaging. You know, again, you want to just be careful what you're buying. There are tests you can do to make sure these are real, but if you're just starting out, you're probably not going to do that. The important thing is just to buy them from a reliable source. So now the question comes, okay, I've been building my silver stash for years now, and all of a sudden I need some money. What do I do? It's another reason why I like the constitutional silver. I get laid off, I don't have a lot of cash, I've got bills that need to be paid, and all of a sudden I've got no grocery money. What am I going to do? Well, this is where the value of, I think the value of the constitutional silver over the bullion comes in. Let's say again I'm need some grocery money this week. I need $100 for groceries. Well, right here, 4 half dollars is roughly $100. I can put an ad on Craigslist. I can go to my local coin shop. I can go to the flea market, I can go to most antique shops, and I may not get the $100, but I can probably get $90 for this real quick. Everybody knows what it is. There's no question what I'm selling. Again, for a quick $100, I can do that real quick. Same thing, the Morgan dollars. I go in to a coin shop and say I need $100 for groceries. This is what I got. Chances are I'm going to walk out with $100 or real close to it. So those are the advantages to me of buying the constitutional silver. There are people that will disagree with that think that the bullion is the better way to go. Use your own judgment. Again, I already mentioned that if things go really bad and there's another COVID type experience where the grocery stores are out of everything and I can't even get milk, I can go to the Amish farmer with a couple of dimes and a couple of quarters and buy what I need that way. So once again, like all of my videos, do not take my word for any of this. Do your own investigations, use your own best judgment. Do what you think is right for you. Actually, there's one other thing I'm just seeing here that I didn't mention. For long-term investment, don't rule out foreign coins. This is a 1942, I think, 1942 or 1943. 2 shilling, it's 50% silver. Canadian quarter, silver. This is a 1961 or 60, I think. Before 67, I believe, Canada switched over. Those are going to be a little bit harder to turn. It's not going to be as quick a sale, but to have part of your investment in foreign coins, the nice thing with those is a lot of times I can get those below spot value because the local buyers don't want them. So anyway, once again, I just want to leave you on a note of hopefully you're going to take this as a starting point. This isn't the final answer. This is a starting point. It ultimately comes down to what's best for you, what works for you. But I strongly advise whatever you decide to do, if you want to buy, 5 silver dimes at a time, buy them once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever it is, and stick to that. If you try to time the market, like I said, you will lose eventually. You might get lucky once or twice. In the long run, you will lose. You will not time the market. Enjoy. It can be a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, but it can help you build some wealth over time. And don't take anybody's word for any of it. Don't trust me either. Go watch some other videos and do what makes sense to you. Thanks for watching.